Okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Back with some more solo role manging. Yeah. I mean, RPGs are pretty much my favorite hobby, but solo RPGs just so much easier and convenient. And I think a lot of people are discovering that. I think solo RPGs, ever since COVID, have really kind of picked up steam, and you see a lot of RPGs now releasing with like dedicated rules for solo in the core rulebook. That did not happen, 10, 15 years ago that much. So yeah, I don't know. I've never done anything solo that I haven't recorded. So I have no idea what it's like for most people, but for me, I enjoy just talking through this all. I guess I could sit here and not record and just talk through it, but it's weird. Seems weird. Anyways. So, the last thing I did was we looked at trying to hack Shadowdark into something a bit more, suiting it a bit more to my taste, maybe as a player or something like that. I think from a DM perspective, there are a few things, a couple things that I would change to just make it better, I think, as a DM. Like the XP, like I said, I'm going to change that no matter what I do with Shadowdark. Because that's just kind of the game that I want to run, is not entirely focused on purely treasure. But that's because I would want to run a game not entirely based in dungeons. So there's that. Also things like, I'd say, just from a DM perspective, some of the GM tools and stuff, like random encounters and overland travel and stuff like that. Things that I could just kind of improve or expand upon just to make my job easier, to be honest. All the other hacks that we kind of talked about and looked at is more just like if I were playing, this is what I would kind of want to lean towards. So those, I wouldn't necessarily just implement if I was DMing for a group and just straight out the gate and like, yeah, this is how we're playing Shadowdark. I'd maybe bring it up. And like I said, if I was going to DM for a new group of players, I'd mostly just run Shadowdark as is. But anyways, yeah, so we did that last time. We looked at some stuff. And so now I'd like to kind of go back and play some Shadowdark. Probably with many of these proposed changes. Just kind of to see how some of them go. And see, and just play more Shadowdark, really. Because it's a great little system. So, this time, though, we're not really going to be using almost any of those rules. Because we're going to start with a gauntlet, or a funnel. We did this before, the Trial of the Slime Lord or whatever, and that one we actually didn't end up completing. We went through a lot of characters. It was pretty bad. I mean, the actual gauntlet wasn't bad. It was just, yeah, I did terribly. So, we're going to try this again. We have done, technically, we did Sailors on the Starless Sea with a weird wizard, which was sort of strange. Kind of too easy, I guess. I mean, we completed the whole thing and we didn't lose anybody. So yeah, basically too easy. But that was fun. I remember that. And this time, though, we're going to be doing a funnel adventure written for a DCC with level 0 characters. So this is going to be another proper kind of gauntlet. Our funnel of choice this time is going to be the Portal Under the Stars. This is another one that gets often brought up. Sailors is certainly the de facto gauntlet. I think that one gets recommended more than anything else by far. But perhaps at number 2 is this one, Portal Under the Stars. I believe I have actually run this as a funnel way back when we were first getting into DCC and trying it out. I think that I tried this one. but I can't quite remember. I certainly remember some aspects of this one. It's a funnel that does not have that many fights and is more concerned with like traps and puzzles and stuff. And you can see the full list in the counter table here. It's sort of weird. There's like, okay, trap, statue, then the immortal demon snake, and then 7 piles of living bones, 6 crystal statues, and then 78 clay statues. Okay. So yeah, I haven't really read this in a long time. I don't remember exactly how it's going to go, but that's good. So level 0 characters. Fortunately, we can just make these easily in Foundry. Otherwise, just go to Shadowdark Leans and you can whip up 4 level 0 characters in an instant. Ready to go. So level 0 character gets not much. If we go to Shadowdark, they do get to roll stats. They get their choice of ancestry. They get hit points equal to their con modifier. They get a background, alignment, and then they get 1d4 pieces of starting gear. I'm going to do something perhaps a little controversial. And I'm not going to roll their stats at all. Everyone's going to have 10 in everything. Now, if I were actually running a funnel, I don't know if I would do that. But I also don't think that... See, the thing is, like... It's... I understand why you roll stats normally. Because you roll 3d6 down the line. And that is the normal character creation. So your stats are not going to change at all going from level 0 to level 1. That's good. But I don't want to really do my like 5d6, 4d6, 3d6 thing for level 0 characters because they're all peasants. So it's just like, I mean, you could, because it's like you certainly could have a peasant with 14 strength and 3d6 down the line. I mean, you could start theoretically with a peasant that has like 18 strength, 18 dexterity. I mean, it's possible, right? But I don't know, it just feels off. And I feel like there needs to be like this ascension for the survivors that go to level 1. You know, they become just better. I think it's probably a little gamey, but I don't know. And so having 10 in every stat just feels like the perfect peasant array. No one is really good or bad at anything, and you're all just blank slates. So I'm gonna go with 10 in every stat. No, not rolling yet. Which means every peasant is gonna have 1 HP. But that's pretty normal. It's rare because you're gonna have a hit points here equal to your con mod. Okay, equal to your con mod, which means that on average, 3d6, you're going to have 11. You're going to have 0. You're going to have 1 HP on average. You can't go less, so okay, we ignore that. But the odds of you having 2 HP... Actually, it's equal to your con mod. So really, you need a 14 or higher to even have 2 HP. And the max possible you could ever hope to have at level 1 with an insane roll of 3 6s is 4 HP. And you're probably still dying in 1 hit regardless. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. The whole point of the funnel is you're dead in 1 hit. So, 1 HP. So then we can pick deity. We can pick background, blacksmith. We worship Odin. Ancestry. I don't know. I feel like human is... I don't know. I don't know if I want half orc. We definitely want a lot of humans, and I feel like we're going to get a lot of humans. Because I think that's sort of the... Yeah, it's the role is sort of leaning towards human, I would imagine. Or is this just utterly random? I don't know. I'm tempted to just say all humans, but that's because we're changing the ancestry rule. We're trying out the change where you get to pick your talent at level 1 instead of rolling for 2. No, I think there aren't. I think it's just utterly random which one you get with this roll. So we'll have a few in here, but let's just go human for like the grand majority. And we got Leanna, and we're gonna roll her gear. She got 60 feet of rope. That's it. That's what she's going into this with, which is ridiculous. Now, for the record, I would say in general, if I'm gonna run a funnel for some, if I'm gonna DM it, I kind of prefer a funnel where the players don't have a choice. That's why I like Trial of the Slime Lord in concept, where you're just kind of dumped into this dungeon and there's no way out except through. Whereas something like this, depending on your players and things like that, it's very easy for them to just be like, well, fuck this, we're out of here, and they leave. And that's not, I mean, yeah, I mean, out of game, you can just be like, okay, you can't leave. You gotta do this. This is the game. I'm sorry. But it's a lot easier to do that if they just can't leave, you know, they're forced in. Yuri? Hey, we had a Yuri before. He's got a grappling hook. Well, that'll go well with Leanna's rope. So we're just going to roll 4 at a time. And then if someone dies, you know, we'll just add another one. Technically, you know, you're supposed to have a set number going in. Like, there's meant to be like 12 peasants going into this. And we can say that there is, but I just don't need to roll them all up yet. We got Bram. He's a seer's apprentice. He's got the torch. Excellent. Hopefully we have a way to light it. Alright, and one more. Yeah, we'll just all be human for now. Malachor, the wolf child. He's got oil in a flask. Okay. Sounds like we don't have a means to light the torch. But we'll pretend that we lit it on the way in. One of our dads lit our torch for us so we can go into this horrible, dangerous dungeon with the snake god or whatever. Alright, so there's our 4. And again, they're all very much blank slates. No one has any weapon of any kind. And they all die in one hit. And due to the rules of the level 0 gauntlet, they can use any piece of equipment they find. They're not defined by class or anything yet. So that's it. I mean, that's all you really need to do. It's pretty simple. So let's just get started. For long years, you labored in the fields like all the peasants, sweating hot and dirty in the summer only to shiver under threadbare hides when winter came. This year's harvest ended like all the rest, and autumn's work was hard on Old Man Roberts. When you visited his bedside at the end, he spoke in labored breaths of constellations that hadn't been seen since he was a young lad. The last time the empty star had risen in the sky, it was more than 50 winters past, he said. Under the light of that strange star, a portal had opened by the old stone mounds. He'd seen jewels in there, and fine steel spears and enameled armor, but he'd run when the Iron Men had attacked. Now, old and dying, he wishes he'd taken the chance on a life of adventure. The empty star is once more rising, and a young person with courage could be more than just another peasant, if only they'd take the chance Old Man Roberts hadn't. You're taking that chance. You stand before the monolithic rocks of the old stone mounds, under the dark light of a starry sky. The empty star is clear and bright above you. 3 of the large stone blocks lean haphazardly together to form an upright rectangular portal about the size of a person. They seem to be placed directly beneath the star's path. As the empty star ascends to its brightest point, its light catches in the portal, and a shimmering stone-lined corridor is visible through the stones, but only from one side of the opening. Grasping your pitchfork with white knuckles, you step into the starlit portal, which was not there before today, thoughts of jewels and scorching wheat fields foremost in your mind. Right, so we have a lit torch. I think that was Bram, which also could theoretically be used as a weapon, if need be, but hopefully we find an alternative, because we don't even have pitchforks. We can throw an oil flask and then light them on fire. I mean, technically you could hit someone with your grappling hook. I don't know if Shadowdark has any rules for like an improvised weapon or using a weapon you're not proficient in. No, I don't think there is any rules for that. Like literally, it's just like you can wield the weapons listed for your class. And it's like, I mean, that obviously most of these types of games have weapons that your class is not proficient in and things like that. But there's usually rules for what happens, like if I pick up a greatsword as a wizard and what happens if I try to swing it. So I don't know if they put it anywhere in here, but it doesn't seem like it. I mean, I would guess you just like swing with disadvantage or something. That would be like the quick and dirty rule. But then, you know, there's going a step further and like trying to attack with an improvised weapon, you know, like what happens if I try to attack with a torch, or what happens if I try to attack with a chair, you know? I think Weird Wizard has some decent rules for improvised weapons. Which would be under game rules, combat, attacking, maybe? Improvised weapons, yes. This includes frying pans, broken bottles, blah, blah, blah. So you roll with one Bane. So for our case, probably disadvantage. And then if you get a crit or crit failure, the improvised weapon breaks. Now they have it do d6 damage. That's possibly fair, I suppose. Now, in Weird Wizard, everything does d6 damage, or 2d6, or 3d6, or so on and so forth. It's all d6s. Whereas we could drop that down to d4, and I think that's probably also fair. So, disadvantage and a d4 damage. I think that's probably the way to do it. So if I want to swing with my torch, you know, that would be the rule. And also, there'd probably be like a 1 in 6 chance that it just goes out or something like that. And if I want to swing with that grappling hook, I'd probably do a similar thing. Because, I mean, it's not good. Like, you're never going to be encouraged to use improvised weapons or anything. It's just like, holy shit, I need to do this or I'm going to die. Because, you know, I'm cornered, I can't run, but and whatever. All right, so we move in with Bram in the lead. Even though the hallway is visible from only one side of the portal, you tread on solid flagstones. The starlight fades as it reaches into this hallway, which dead ends ahead at a stout iron-banded door. Jewels or crystals in an odd assortment of star shapes are inscribed on the door. Okay. So... hallway appears only under certain constellations related to the empty star. The star shapes on the door approximate the nighttime sky visible through the reverse end of the hallway. If we wait 2 hours, movement of the nighttime sky makes the view back through the portal reveal the same star pattern as that inscribed on the door. The door swings open easily for this 10-minute interval. At any other time, the door will not budge. Treat as locked. DC 15 strength check to break down. DC 15 pick lock check for a thief. If the door is forced, a searing light burns from the star-shaped inscription. Character in the lead takes 1d8 damage, DC 10 reflex save for half. Trap is detected with a DC 20 search. Okay. So there's a DC 14 intelligence check to possibly figure out the light from the portal and stuff. that the movement of the nighttime sky will correspond here. It's just automatically assumed we came here at night. But alright, let's get a int check. Doesn't matter who rolls because it's all the same. We just need like a decent roll. There you go, 19. Okay, so as a group, we figure this out. Which of course fucks with our torch timer. We have to like wait 2 hours. So I guess we'll just come back 2 hours later. That's the easiest way. Okay. Yeah. Sort of, you know, I think players would have to put that extra step together. As a character realizes with a DC 14 intelligence check that... So you'd have to... I don't think you just give the players, like, hey, roll intelligence. It's more like, okay, can I try and figure out, you know, what these jewels are, like, display, you know, like this arrangement, do I recognize it or anything like that? And then you get an intelligence check, and then you could say that yes, it does seem to match a constellation. And I guess you'd say that it's like close to matching the view back through the portal, but it's not quite correct yet. So okay, then we wait. And I'm sure we try the door otherwise, but yeah, we'll wait and come back and blah blah blah, and then we go through. Cautiously, ever so cautiously. Across from this room is another stout door. 4 iron statues flank the door, 2 to a side. Each statue depicts a different fighting man in a round iron helmet and thick scaled armor holding a long spear in a throwing position. All the spear tips are aimed at the door through which you just entered. Oh, jeez. So we open the door and we just see 4 big statues holding it, ready to throw big-ass spears straight at us. I don't know. One thing that I like to do a lot with my players when I DM is I like to do countdowns. To really just like put the pressure on and like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, you know. It doesn't always work. Sometimes they just freeze up and they're like, I don't know. And then the countdown ends and like, okay, I mean, something's gonna happen. Whether you do something or I do something's gonna happen. So something moves forward either way. Usually I often like to do it if they're being really indecisive or just like hesitating, but sometimes you might have just like a very small time crunch moment where it's just like, you know, your first thought, you know, just boom, whatever your first thought is, get it out there, do something. So, you know, if I was going to do that, I would say there's a decent chance they just close the door right away. In which case I wouldn't have them throw the spears, but it gives them a little time to maybe think of a plan here. Otherwise, maybe they try and dash through. Or maybe they just drop to the floor. What am I going to do? I mean, let's say we close the door and we didn't hear any, you know, slams of spears into the wall. Like, okay, now I have time. I don't have much time. We have a 10-minute window here while this door will be open. Right, let's reset this. So this should be at 10 and this is at 20. technically we should roll for this room we just discovered. So I'll roll a d6 just for that room. We got a 6, so it's down to 13 already. And we're down to 9. I don't think there's really a way to like bait this out where we can like just like, haha, you threw and it did nothing. We can't take this door off its hinges or anything like that because this is, well, I mean, maybe you could. But it's definitely like magical, right? It's a stout iron banded door. It's magic. If for us to take off the hinges, if anything, we'd have to definitely get into this other room and go to the other side of the door. So no, we can't really take the door off the hinges from here. We don't have many options. We have very little gear. We have no abilities. I mean, this is just bare bone shit. We've got rope, a torch, flask, and a grappling hook. So there's not much cleverness really available to anybody in this situation. Sorry to say. I think one of the characters is just gonna have to like run through, just full sprint through to the other side door, and hopefully, you know, they can't hit him in that case. So, Yuri is gonna volunteer. So Bram's still holding the torch, but Yuri's just gonna sprint through this room straight north and try and bait out the spears that way, I suppose. So, 4 spear attacks, plus 2 to hit. He's not going to be standing in the doorway bullseye. But how do we want to adjudicate him running? Do we just want to remove that plus 2 to hit? I mean, he's gonna die, right? Like, we're all pretty clear on that. There's no doubt. Because even if I roll 4 attacks with no bonus, just one of them has to get 10 or higher. Odds are he's gonna get hit. So, tricky. And that's what a funnel is. A funnel is often just like, a funnel is often just to kind of get players accustomed to losing their characters. Like, yes, your characters can die. They can die easily, blah, 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 and it's not the end of the world. There's more characters on the way. Now, critics of a funnel argue that these are not really representative at all of actually playing like an OSR game or like a D&D kind of game like this, because they're kind of designed to be a meat grinder. They're designed that you cannot really ever get through without losing a character. I'm sure it's happened, but that's not really the design intent. I mean, the design intent a lot of times is just like, yeah, you're gonna die, but you have a lot of backups. That's sort of the point. And playing actual, you know, a D&D game is not, it's about not dying. It's about being clever and using all your resources and you know, running away from danger and avoid, you know, and all this sort of stuff in order to stay alive as much as possible. It's hard to say. I think there's a fine line, and I think there's arguments on both sides that are valid. So, I don't know. In this case, we just have very little available to us, and it's kind of a no-win situation. The only thing is that if I go a step farther and give the spears disadvantage on their attack rolls, but that would be pretty significant just for running, considering they're all primed to throw. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, because I feel like that's too much survivability for a funnel, which again is like, that's the point. So I guess, yeah, I'm just gonna roll flat d20s. It's possible he survives, just very unlikely. All right, he's already dead. Dead, not dead, dead. 3 of them just boom, just gore him, just slams him into the wall, and you know, he's like severed in half essentially. It's quite brutal. Goodbye, Yuri. But he does drop his grappling hook, so I guess Liena is going to take that because she's got rope. Okay. Now, if you actually see, I'm not quite doing this correctly, because you're supposed to have like all 12 of your peasants rolled up, because amongst them they probably have some equipment that is useful. So I'm making this extra hard on myself. Yeah, fuck it. Let's get a dwarf. A little odd man out. Junor, the enforcer. He's got iron spikes. Hey, if he ties his rope around an iron spike, he's got a weapon there. And he's got 3 hit points because he's a dwarf. Okay. Well, you know, we see that they don't reset. We mourn the loss of Yuri, but we thank him for his sacrifice, because now we can go on and get treasure. Again, that's like, it's like also encouraging, reinforcing the idea that your goal in this game is always to go into dangerous locations to get treasure. Whereas if you do a funnel where they're just trying to escape, like, okay, then it doesn't really enforce that idea too much. But it's just like, well, yeah, sorry, Yuri. I mean, we've known you for like 30 years, but now you're dead, so that we can try and get some treasure and not be peasants. I guess that's D&D. Okay, so the statues then are just like in that they just threw, and they're not moving anymore. And now we can actually pull the spears out of Yuri, which is pretty big. And apparently we can also remove their scaled armor. So the armor is not like part of the statue. It's actual scale mail armor, which is insane, and it can be sold for twice the usual price. So one of the house rules that I was gonna just do was literally just take the adventure and equipment section and the armor section from Axe and just put this in. And that's because, so it makes shields not as good, which I think is fine. It makes shields just do +1 AC instead of +2. I think that's relatively fair. And then it has, you know, a lot of choices here with ascending AC there. And we would just make this, you know, basically just add a 10 here. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 AC. So the price of like leather armor is 20 gold instead of 10, but you can get padded armor, and leather armor is actually slightly better here. Chainmail is 40 instead of 60, and is also better. But I was going to do this stone encumbrance as just, that's how many gear slots it takes up. So like, yeah, you can get plate armor, and it's the best, but it takes up 6 slots in your gear slots, which is a lot. It's a lot. I mean, that is pretty big. Plate armor in Shadowdark takes up 3 slots, so this would be double that. But it's also slightly better, because it bumps you up to 16 AC. So yeah, I was just thinking of testing that out and seeing how that goes. Because it's like you're wearing plate armor, like you're not gonna have the strength to carry much else, and you're not gonna have room to carry much else. I mean, you're covered in full plate armor, so it kind of makes sense. Then helmets. Helmets don't give any AC in Axe. They have enclosing, which is a penalty to surprise rolls, listening proficiency, but you get a +2 bonus on d20 rolls made on the mortal wounds table. I saw a different house rule. I don't know if it was for Shadowdark or not. It might have been for some other system. It might have been for the Glog or something, but basically helmets sort of work like splintering a shield, where you can sacrifice your helmet, but rather than ignoring all damage, it negates one crit. So if you get crit, you can, your helmet takes the brunt of it, and you manage to survive, but your helmet is just ruined. I like that quite a bit, so that's probably what I would do. So, I mean, the statues here, scale armor, helmets, and spears. And scale armor would be 13 AC. 3 gear slots. So it's like, fuck yeah, dude. We'll take all that shit. So let's create armor, scale armor. This is going to be 13 AC. Cost for that is going to be 30. This is like jeweled scale armor, so technically it's worth double that. Slots per item is going to be 3. Okay. And then all our characters can equip this, which is a big bump in survivability. Boom, 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 boom. 13 AC. Excellent. Now we can also get these helmets. I don't know if I can do that in the same way. I can make it armor, I suppose. It just has no AC, no bonus attribute. Does it take up a slot? It takes up 1/6 encumbrance in Axe. I mean, if you don't have it take up a slot, it's like, why would you ever not have a helmet? But I guess that's the argument. Why would you ever not have a helmet? It doesn't really do much except negate crits. But then, like, everyone's going to have a helmet. And so they're always going to negate a crit. They are expensive. I mean, 20 gold is the same price as leather armor. So it's not something early on you're going to be spamming. And this has the penalty to surprise rolls and listening proficiency throws to hear noise. And it's also not quite as good of a benefit. It just helps you if you're rolling on mortal wounds tables. So maybe negate a crit is a little too powerful. I'm thinking more like Gloomhaven, where if you have the helmet, you could downgrade a crit to like a +1 attack or something. What is the crit rule in Shadowdark? I mean, hold on. If you get... double its damage dice on the attack. Okay. So I think that maybe that's a bit fairer. Is it doesn't negate the crit entirely, but it can downgrade it to a normal hit, which is still pretty nice. And I don't think we'll go maybe with 20 gold cost. But again, it's just like, yeah, you're still probably going to have a helmet on you at all times, especially once you have a bunch of money. So maybe, fuck it, just 20 gold. Armor properties. Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, okay, that stuff. Can't just freely edit that. Alright, do I want to take up a slot? Now, I'm debating then between taking up a slot, but it can negate a crit, or not take up a slot, and it just downgrades a crit. What is better? What is more balanced? What's more fun? Maybe just go with take up a slot and negate a crit. Yeah. Yeah, I guess go with that. I think it's relatively fair. So we're all going to take these, of course, as well. So, I mean, our dwarf here is at 7 out of 10 slots already. And we haven't even gotten the spears yet. But I feel like not having helmets in your game at all is just kind of weird. And I do know there are some games that's just like, yeah, helmet is +1 AC, but you don't want to do that because it's just like, that means everybody in your whole game just has +1 AC because there's never not a reason to wear a helmet. I think this is a decent enough compromise. It doesn't really do anything unless you get crit. But then you have to throw it away, spend another 20 gold to get a new one sometime, you know, when you're back in town. And it takes up a slot. And you might be taking up a slot for a long time without it really doing anything until it might save your life. That sounds like a good helmet. I don't know. I'm fine with that. Alright, then the actual spear, which is definitely going to be in the game. Gear, weapon, spear. There's also pikes, but we'll just make these basic spears. And again, everybody can use them, and they're all equally good at using them. Which is a little strange, I admit. But that's the way it is. It's like, alright, yeah, we're fucking ready. Fucking ready now, man! +0, 1d6 damage. We can kill something. And we also have sticks to, like, prod stuff. Okay. The time that it took for us all to, you know, take off the armor off the statues and pry the spears out of the wall and stuff, that's going to be another tick. Okay, so now that I've lost my shit. Four more, down to 9. I don't even know if there's meant to be random encounters in here. Am I wasting my time? I don't. This dungeon's way too small. We probably don't even need the underclock. Never mind. Forget the underclock, but we are tracking light. Alright, bump that back up to 20. But we are tracking our light source. Okay, and we're at another door. So I guess we'll try and listen to see if we hear anything awful on the other side. It's unlocked and not trapped. That's good. Doesn't sound like there's anything that we can hear, so we're going to slowly crack open the door. Now, we wouldn't actually be able to see probably the whole room here, because 30 feet of light, if these are 5-foot squares, you know, we're seeing like half the room. But anyways, this spacious chamber has marbled floors and a door on each wall. At the far end is a towering granite statue of a barbarian, one hand outstretched, index finger pointed toward you. The muscular savage wears animal hides, but their eyes are intelligent, and their engraved neckline sports amulets and charms. A grimoire hangs beside a broadsword on the hip of the 30-foot-tall monument. Okay, so as we step into the room then, his finger, he kind of rotates along the base, always pointing at us, which is disturbing. And it says that observant characters, which I guess one of us would be looking around, will roll a d20. Crit. Okay, well, we definitely notice. We see many fine scorch marks on the marble floor, as if campfires had been started there. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. Okay, so the statue rotates freely on a well-oiled but concealed base. And it's a deep bass groaning sound as it swivels to track us. I mean, how fast is it? How fast does it rotate? Like, if we start running circles around it, is it going to be able to follow us that quickly? It does say well-oiled. But why is it making so much noise? Alright, well, anyways, you know, if we move to exit the room, including opening a door and leaving as they arrive, statue sends forth a scorching burst of flame from its fingertip. +6 to hit, 1d6 damage, 1d6 additional burning damage each round thereafter, until a reflex save made to put out the fire. Once provoked, statue launches flames continuously, once per round, for up to 5 rounds, at which point its fuel supply is exhausted. Strong characters who remove the doors from their hinges in areas 1 and 2 can use them as a shield against the statue. Increases AC by +4, reduces movement to half. So you can remove those doors off their hinges. But again, like I said, you probably had to be on the other side for that first door. And if we try and leave now to go get the door, it's going to start blasting. Can be placated by uttering the name of the war wizard in whose likeness it is carved, but that name is lost to time. Otherwise, it is so large as to be beyond the ability of the characters to damage. All the doors are unlocked. Alright, I mean, even in the case where we knew exactly what this thing was going to do, right? What is the solution? Says, if any character moves to exit the room, including opening a door or leaving as they arrived. Okay. So basically, if we are on the base of the statue, if we are like standing on here, it can't hit it. It can't hit us at all with its finger blast, right? The thing is, you would never know exactly what this thing's going to do, right? You would have really no idea. You might have a hunch. But I think a lot of groups, like, as soon as they step in and if this thing starts, like, rotating its finger or something, or even when they see it, they might back out of then, and then it just starts blasting. And then it just keeps blasting, but they're, like, outside of the room. Maybe you catch the first guy, and it just keeps blasting, and then it wears off. And then they'll be very wary of it, and they'll try to come up with a plan, not knowing that it's out of fuel. But then eventually, like, whatever they do doesn't matter, because it's not going to shoot anymore, and it's over. Right? But, yeah, so I imagine a lot of groups are just going to quickly back out and then trigger it. But, you know, say you move in, and it's tracking you, and you have the finger there pointing. Will would you assume then that it's triggered based on leaving the room? I don't know. It's so tough doing this because it's like I can't now remove knowledge from my head. I should have just read the first part, read the description, and then try and come up with some idea or just do something and then see what happens. I shouldn't read the whole room. I just can't help myself. But okay, let's say that miraculously you suspected that this thing will trigger once someone leaves the room now. All right. And let's say, you really want to inspect the statue. How tall is it? It says it's towering. Oh, it's 30 feet tall. Jesus, this room is huge. 30-foot tall statue. So we can like barely see the top of it when we're standing underneath it with our torchlight. So it is a huge statue. But we have rope, we have a grappling hook. We could probably, get some sort of rope tied around its neck or something and climb up it if we wanted. 30 feet, man, that's crazy tall. Yeah, it's huge. And his base is like 30 feet wide, So it's a very big statue, which means that its finger is probably very big. I wonder if we would be able to observe that it has like a mechanism that will fire something or something. Like if we can inspect the finger and maybe tell that it will shoot something. Compared to like, is the statue itself going to like get up and start walking? Or is he going to launch something out of his dick or something? Who knows what. But I'd want to inspect the finger specifically to see if there's like, I don't know, a hinge or some sort of seam or mechanism or openings, something like that. So let's roll another int check on that. All right, 16. I think that would be certainly good enough. And I think again, you encourage that kind of behavior, that sort of thinking. So yeah, I'd probably say there is kind of like a hole at the very tip of the finger that looks like well, there's a hole at the tip of the finger. That's all you need to say, really. Not a massive hole, but considering the scale of the monument, it's relatively large. Probably like a foot across or something, or like 6 inches across. And it's like, okay, so something's going to shoot out of the finger when we do something. And I would say one of the characters tries to climb up onto the base of the statue. I don't know how tall the base is, but it probably maybe requires like a team lift or something to get somebody up there. And nothing happens. And I think even if you walk right around the base, or you're on the base and you're kind of moving around, I think he's still generally trying to like point in your direction. But it's like, what if you're standing directly behind him on the base? Does he just keep spinning freewheeling style? And it says that he specifically focuses on the largest group. So it's like if 3 of us are on the back of him, obviously the intent is that, he shoots at, he's shooting at whoever's leaving the room, but it tracks the largest group. So, I mean, say, I think say we were in this corner and we're just standing there and like, okay, there's 3 of us and he's focused on us, and then someone else opens this door. I think he's just going to start blasting at us. You know, whoever he's pointing at is getting blasted. It's just more, this is the trigger opening it. But I think if we're standing like underneath him or like directly behind him on the base here, and then someone opens the door, he's trying to like swivel to get to us. But the other person is not really targeted. I mean, he's just kind of randomly shooting fire around the room, which is kind of scary, but I think honestly in that case there's no danger really, assuming the person at the door leaves quickly. You wouldn't want to be in the room at all otherwise. But yeah, I'd say that's probably how you can defeat this statue. It's a very, much like these other ones, it's a very mechanical thing. It doesn't have any intelligence of any kind. So that's kind of how you want to beat it. And that can be done with basically no equipment whatsoever or abilities. So there's my solution. But that's, again, assuming that you know sort of how it works. But that's a good DM lesson, is, you know, giving your players a lot of information. Not revealing the whole thing or anything, but giving them appropriate amount of information. And then hopefully players, you know, maybe investigate or think about it a little bit more, and you can provide a little bit more information, and then good plan. So we'll tick down this again, and we'll say that the we'll say Junor is the one. Junor doesn't want to climb up on there. He's too short, so he'll be the bait to go through the door there. And the other 3 are up on the base, like right underneath the statue. And that's what happens. Shoots out fire all over the place because he keeps spinning constantly to try to point to us. And problem solved. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Seems fair, right? And then eventually he stops shooting. And then maybe one other person then will drop down. And he keeps spinning. So we kind of have to get off while he's spinning, which is probably pretty dangerous. That might be actually a roll at that point. To try and avoid breaking your neck while jumping off. Unless we have some other clever plan to help us get off the spinning statue. Well, no, we just have to go to like the front of the base here. If we go here, he technically can't hit us, but he is going to keep pointing in that direction. And then it should slow down. So do that. And then one person will get off. And like go this way while he's pointed this way. And they'll try going through the door, and it doesn't fire because it's out of fuel. Maybe even they hear like a slight like clicking sound emanating from within the statue as it's like trying to fire, but it can't. And then we all get off and go. Done. All right, and we slink down this hallway with Bram in the lead, and we look in on this room, which I think is the scrying chamber. A wide stone throne faces you from the center of this square room. The walls are hung with primitive clay tablets, head high and inscribed with strange symbols. Each tablet is a few feet wide, and there are dozens hanging on the 4 walls. However, your attention is riveted to the enormous snake that has crawled out from behind the throne. It is ringed in crimson bands, the color of hellfire, and has a demonic horn in the center of its fanged head. The immortal demon snake guards this scrying chamber. It speaks in a sibilant hiss. I am Cicerag, and you intrude on my guardianship. Then, without parley or hesitation, it attacks. Okay, I think we would be pretty wary of it, having our spears ready, so I don't think there's surprise here. So this is just combat, really. So we've got Bram and Junor kind of in front. Malcor and Liana behind them. And we'll, we're like right here. Spear's kind of shaking and everything. Oh, God. And we're going to roll initiative. So, let me just check something quick. Everyone makes a dex check. Person with the highest result takes first turn. Turns go clockwise from that person. So, yeah. So it's again kind of based for like going around a table, and that includes the DM and all the monsters as one person in the clockwise order. So if you roll above whatever the DM rolls, you go before monsters. If you roll below the DM, you're going after the monsters. Actually, no, that's not how it goes. I'm sorry. No, that would make too much sense. No, whoever rolls highest goes first, and then turns just go clockwise from there. Which is just kind of weird. There's so many alternative initiatives that we could do. Kind of helps then to have a roll under system. How the hell was I doing initiative before? Wasn't I doing like one person rolls? Oh yeah, we were doing Shadowdark rules. That's right. Yeah, we were doing Shadowdark initiative rules, group initiative. One character, one enemy make initiative checks on behalf of their groups. Right. So side-based initiative, really. So then one person rolls initiative. And if they roll higher than the monsters, they go first. Otherwise, monsters go first. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do it. Well, it's certainly the easiest way to do it for solo. The problem with that, with a group, is that, yeah, everyone, you're always going to roll whoever has the highest initiative, and they just roll every time, and that determines if your whole group goes before the whole monster group. Now, Tales of Argosa had a better twist on that, where one person rolls for your whole group, but you have to then go like clockwise next round, and you roll every round. And I think we were doing every round, right? Yeah, reroll initiative at the start of every combat round with group initiative. So, yeah, like Tales of Argosa. So you'd be re-rolling every round, but then a different person down the line would have to roll initiative each round. And some people are going to be worse. It is a problem when you key it directly off of only Dex. It is a little annoying compared to like the average of Dex and Int or something like that. But it is what it is. And also a D20 being highly variable. Now we could again take a page out of Axe and go with a D6 based initiative. Which, yes, I know Axe did not invent most of these rules. I'm aware. It's just my best reference source here. So... gotta wait for it to load. Hold on. Okay, so Axe and other games do a d6 roll every round for each combatant, which can be modified by dex or some other things. And sometimes the DM will roll for groups of combatants rather than individual monsters. And then you start, it's basically just highest to lowest. And then it gets re-rolled every round. I think you wouldn't have to re-roll it every round if you didn't want to. Obviously, that's an optional rule in Shadowdark. Chaos mode. The appeal of the D6 is much less swingy. Because it's very easily for this side-based initiative to just be, okay, I rolled a 17. Or I rolled a 4, or I rolled a 11. My dex mod doesn't really matter that much. Whereas in a D6, adding your dex mod of 3 or 4 is pretty big compared to your 0 or -1. And if your dex mod is good, that means you're fast. You're probably going first or very early every round. If you got a -1 dex, you're probably going late every round. So I think there's an appeal to that, to making dex just kind of matter. Oh, God. Yeah, dex is the best stat by far, always, forever, but let's make it even better and make it, more impactful during initiative. But I don't know. I feel like it just makes more sense than just the complete randomness of a d20 every round. Faster characters should tend to be faster in combat. They can react faster and so on and so forth. I think there is an appeal to combining dex and int in some way. So you could say that you can use the higher of your dex or int. But that means that wizards are very fast. And that's why Tales of Argosa uses the average of your dex and int. So you have to have very high dex and very high int to be pretty damn quick. But I don't know if I could really combine that. I feel like that might get a little too convoluted. If you're taking the average of modifiers, so like I have a +1 dex, +2 int. The average of that is 1.5. Do I round down? Maybe just round down. I mean, you could do it that way, but you could all just make a dex and be fine with it. So I mean, we have our Shadowdark rules, or Solo Dark rules, and we did those, and it's fine. But if I was going to DM, would I want to change initiative rules at all? Is our question. Would I want to go to a D6 system? The reason they don't is just simplification. Practically everything is a D20 as much as possible, and you don't introduce anything that changes that, and everybody knows how to make a dexterity check. That, it's a core aspect of the system, is making checks based on your modifiers of your stats. It's very simple. So I'd see why they didn't fuck with that at all, but yeah, I do think a D6 is better. Would I want to go for individual initiatives every round? I was initially against it when I first was doing like Axe. I was like, oh God, what a pain in the ass. But that's when doing solo, and I didn't have like an initiative roller system or anything. But the concept of it really grew on me because it just represents kind of the chaos of a battle, and you're never really sure who's going to go first, who's going to get a double turn or anything like that. You're really never sure. If you're fast, you got good reflexes and everything, you have pretty good odds of going first or early every round, but you're never quite sure. I kind of like it. So yeah, I think if I were DMing, I might be radical here and go for D6 and re-roll every round. But I can absolutely understand like why people just run initiative as written. I think it's perfectly fine. I think most initiative systems here are going to be perfectly fine. It's just kind of up to the table. But for us, let's do D6 group initiative. Let's try that. So we get 1d6, the enemy gets a d6, and whoever rolls higher goes. Now, we don't know his stats. He's got, oh, it says +0 initiative for DCC. So I guess we'll just adhere to that. So it's just a basic roll off of d6 versus d6. We got a 2, he got a 1. Huzzah. So he like bares his fangs at us, and we assume correctly that he has hostile intent, but we're gonna pounce on him. So Bram is gonna move right up and just slam his spear into this foul creature. So he's got an AC of 13, 20 hit points, so on and so forth. I think these are fair numbers. I think it's all pretty fair. We're unlikely to hit him, and it's going to take a good few stabs to kill him, but I think that's fair. Bram rolling his spear. Crit! Ho 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 ho, that means we get a luck token. And we do 5 damage. So he was ready to... right in there, man. 5 is below average on 2d6, but still pretty great. All right, Junor will follow suit. Definitely follow suit. But this snake is a little too slippery now. Recoils from that initial attack that he was not expecting at all. Then the other two, I guess, will flank him. And I don't think there's any rules for like being surrounded or anything. I mean, the combat rules in Shadowdark are very, very simple. Very improvisational and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, if we wanted to do anything special here, we could make it interesting. But there's definitely no rules for like surrounding a foe or flanking a foe, or even like if they're prone or anything. Like, there's nothing. Nothing. But it's also very flexible, very hackable. And so if you said, okay, you're surrounding this thing, you can roll with +2. I don't think players will be like, well, Mang, that's not technically within the rules. I mean, they're going to be like, fuck yeah. So, you know. But keep in mind, if you do that kind of shit, you have to play it from the other side as well. If monsters surround a guy, you have to be like, well, they're getting +2 because you're surrounded. That's the give and take. So, you know, if you're going to place rulings in, you got to remember them. Otherwise, you know, it's all just advantages to the players. So let's just go ahead and do it. I'm going to do it. You can't stop me. Liena and Malkor are going to flank this thing and get their +2s. So, we'll just go with talent bonus of 2. 17, 2 more damage, so she nicks him. He's at 13 health. Malkor coming in with his spear as well. 2. Miss. Shame. Alright, so we all kind of just stabbing in with our spears, surrounding this thing, but he's had enough. And he's going to try to... he's going to slither between our legs. You know, slither out of there, and he's going to try and bite Liena. Doesn't really matter. Although he does 1d4 -1. I assume it's possible for him to do 0 damage then. But he needs to roll a 13 or higher as well against Liena. He does not. She you know, can't get through that nice scale armor. Saved her life, man. And that's its turn. So now we're just spearing. We're just spearing and spearing. Bram, spear. And we're all surrounded in. Again. So everybody gets 2. That's a miss. Malcor, 2. Crit fail. Ooh. Yeah, the standard rule, I actually agree a lot with Tales of Argos, and I've seen other people say this has just always been their go-to rule. That if you're in melee and you roll a critical fail, the enemy gets a free attack against you. So Malcor, it's going to make a bite. Okay, he's lucky. Junor, spearing as well. Hit, 2 more damage. I think we've done a 9 now? No, more than that. We did 5. No, yeah, it's 9. Okay, 9 damage. And then Liena. Miss. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really have any special moves here. There's not a whole lot it can do against this barrage of spears. If I was going to come up with something clever, I mean, it's just trying to bite. So I guess it'll bite, I don't want to keep picking on the Liena players, so we'll have him bite Malcor, because he critical failed, so it'll try and pounce on that again. Miss again, dude. He's rolling terribly. Okay, Bram. Miss. Liena. Miss. Malcor. Hit for 6 damage. Ooh, he's got 5 health left. Junor, can you finish it? Can you do it? No, you can't, but it's at 4 health. This is probably where it would flee if we were going to enact, you know, that sort of stuff. And I don't see why we wouldn't. Calls him an immortal demon snake. But he doesn't really do it. He dies, he turns to ash, and he leaves a horn behind. And you can use it to commune with a demon. So I think he'd probably roll morale here. So he needs a 15 or higher. Okay, he definitely failed. He did not expect a bunch of peasants with spears to be this tough. So he's going to slither away down the hall and out of the dungeon. Yeah, I know I was supposed to reroll initiative every round, and I forgot. So that could have changed stuff, but not really. Not really. He still missed every one of his attacks, and he even got a free attack. So, yeah. You know, I would count that as defeating a foe if we were doing XP currently, but level 0 you don't. It's just whoever survives gets leveled up. Yeah, well, that was a lot easier than I thought. And I mean, I ran that sort of fine. I mean, yeah, the +2 maybe influenced stuff. This hit wouldn't have gone through for 6 damage. This one would have. This one would have. And the crit would have. So, technically, probably still have an extra 6 health. If I wasn't doing the +2, but I don't know. It seems like you're surrounding a single target and all slamming down with your spears. Seems like it should be fairly easy to hit them. I don't know. That's just me. All right, anyway, we don't get the cool demon horn, but there is a magical portal hanging on the back of the entry door. If the door is shut, someone seated on the throne looks directly upon the portal, which shows stars unlike any seen before in the night sky. Constellations slowly move across the sky shown in the portal. A powerful wizard can use this portal to see faraway places. Anyone who studies the tablets can make out their story. They tell of an alien race that came from the stars to bring magical implements to a barbarian tribe, who in turn conquered many lands with their new powers. The aliens will return when the stars are right. Many less significant events are foretold by the stars and tablets as well. Droughts, plagues, the birth and death of kings, and so on. There's your cool image. I don't know why you wouldn't depict them with spears, since that seems like the most likely weapon characters will have here. What exactly is happening to this guy? What is he doing? Did he, like, trip? Did he get bitten or something? I mean, it's such a weird position and expression, and I don't know what to make of this. Like, there's no way he's gonna fall. It's weird. Anyways, that's it for that whole room. I mean, it's just the snake thing that you fight. That's it. So now I guess we'll go back across to this other new room. Actually, I don't think I ticked down my light, so now we're at 6. And now we listen at this door. The chieftain's burial. This musty room is clearly a burial chamber. 7 shrouded alcoves hold piles of loose bones. Rusty arms and armor adorn the walls beside each alcove, and funeral masks are mounted beneath the loose skulls. The funeral masks show primitive, almost simian features on stern faces. Examination of the bones show they are not quite human. The limbs are too thick, the spines too short, and the beetled brows jut out too far. Each of the 7 skeletons was a general in the army of the War Wizard. If the skulls in this room are destroyed, the spirits that animate the warriors in Area 8 are released to find peace. The bones are living dead that have decayed over the eons. They shake and rattle as characters approach. However, they can no longer animate into cohesive skeletons. The skulls clack, clatter, and attempt to bite, but are easily avoided and crushed through normal means. Okay, but you give them +6 on their bite attack and 1d4 damage? Why? I don't know, I follow the text here, which says they are easily avoided and crushed through normal means, so... You know, you describe, like, as you enter the room... all the bones in the alcoves start, like, shaking and clattering and trying to move. And, like, you know, the skulls roll off of the alcoves and, you know, snap their teeth. Snap their jaws in a desperate attempt to bite you. I don't think necessarily most characters would just smash them, but... yes, I mean, that is the good thing to do. And that's what you want to do. Most of the weaponry and armor in this room is rusted and worthless, but a hand axe, a battle axe, and a set of chainmail can be recovered. Due to their age and brittleness, the 2 axes are at -1 to attack, and the chainmail offers only +4 armor class for similar reason. Only +4. I don't know what DCC armor does normally. For our purposes, chainmail is a 4, so... yeah, probably like... 3 AC, but 4 slots is probably what we'd make it. It's just kind of shitty chainmail. The hand axe and battle axe. I guess Junor probably wants a battle axe, even though it's going to be -1 to attack. Just -1 to attack. There is no battle axe in the thing, in the book, by the way. There's no axe of any kind. There's only a great axe and a hand axe. So should I interpret this as a great axe? I suppose so. We'll give Bram the hand axe, and I guess we'll give Junor the great axe. And we have to edit this to be, well, I can't actually put a modifier here to be -1. I can make it a magic item. But you can only do a weapon attack roll bonus. Unless I can do -1. Yeah, okay, -1. Perfect. He feels just good and proper with an axe in his hand, you know? And then the hand axe as well. We will do the same thing. -1, weapon, attack. Roll bonus, -1. Bada bing, bada boom. So now he could throw that if he wants. He could also throw his spear. Alright. And yeah, we will stomp on the skulls and stuff, smash the bones, because clearly that's evil. You may be at peace now. That ticks down our light again. Hopefully we find some other light. But there's not really much dungeon left, so don't worry. Alright, the next room. Continuing on. We're doing just fine, aren't we? We only lost one character, shockingly. But it's always a little fuzzy when you're doing a solo playthrough. Because I don't use the Oracle almost at all. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure if I was playing and someone was DMing this, I wouldn't be as good or lucky or anything. But we'll never know. Alright, this enormous chamber is filled with a large rectangular pool of water running the entire length of the room. Diffused light shines upward from the pool, illuminating wide pillars lining the walls. Strangest of all, however, are the man-shaped crystal creatures visible in the shadows. They shuffle about slowly, their strange crystalline bodies sparkling like jewels whenever they catch the light from the pool. There is a door in the far corner of this chamber. Well, my first thought is just to throw a hand axe at one of the skeletons. Or one of the... not skeletons, creatures. So let's assume that's my first thought, and... or I could just do that. We could just do that. If that's my first thought, why would I read further? Just fucking do it. No thoughts, just throw a hand axe. Here we go, hand axe. Throw. I rolled a 7. So it does not hit jack shit and kind of smashes into the wall nearby. Okay. This room represents the War Wizard's vengeance against their enemies. He transformed his foes into living crystalline statues, then trapped them here. Now possessed of only animal intelligence, they are no longer capable of speech, nor do they need sustenance. They have wandered this room for millennia, trapped in the unending hell of their crystal bodies. There are 6 crystal statues. Their features are hard to discern because of their translucency, but they are perfect replicas of the eons-old proto-human warriors who were transformed to create them. They are attracted to light and shuffle towards torches and lanterns. They do not attack, but their approach may seem menacing, and they will defend themselves. If they reach a torch or other light source unmolested, they simply stand next to it and absorb the warmth. Okay. So, I pop open the door, I see these statues, I throw my hand axe, and now all the statues, the creatures, statues, yeah. They all are looking towards the torchlight from Bram, and they start shuffling towards us. Certainly seems pretty menacing. So Bram and Junor are going to stand in the doorway. They're going to ready an action for when any of them come up close. They're going to attack them. And then Malcor and Liena standing behind them. And they're going to ready an action as well to attack any that come within melee, because they got spears. Reach. Reach, I declare. Again, not in the rulebook, but I declare it. Makes perfect sense to me. So, we can roll initiative at some point, but I'm just waiting until they approach, so let's do that. Okay, so they approach. We'll do Bram and Liena on one, and Junor and Malcor on another here. So Bram's spear. Their initiative, their AC is 12. 8 HP. Okay, so Bram missed with his spear. Leanna missed with her spear. Junor missed with his great axe. Great. Malcor did manage to clip one with his spear. So that's at 6 health. And now we get into initiative. And we are yeah, I should try and remember to roll every round. So our D6 is their 5. They have -2. So theirs is 3. We go first. So we're going to repeat all those same attacks. Spear, hit for 3 damage. Excellent. Down to 5. And miss. Junor, come on, just land a big great axe. No. Malcor, hit for 4. Okay. So that one was at 6, so now it's at 2. And the other one's at 5. I should just put tokens down to remember this. Okay, but then, yeah, one of them is definitely attacking Bram. And they get +2 on their punch. So here we go, Bram. 12. That armor, again, saving my life. And against Junor. 10. Also a miss. Thanks to that armor. Alright, D6 from us is a 3. For them, a -1. We get to go again. Bram, spear this bastard! 1 damage, still not dead. Liena. Miss. Junor. Big time axe. Miss again. He's never going to land a hit ever with that. 1 more damage from the spear. Yikes, man. We're not doing well here. They are resilient, and we are not. So there is a lot of pressure here. I think people are going to start dying, and then this whole plan falls apart. Alright, but they're going to swing at Bram. 16. That's a kill. No ifs, ands, or buts. Goodbye, Bram. Like, this thing just punches him and his jaw flies off or something. Just bleh. And against Junor. 12. Miss. Okay, so Bram is down. We will have another character come in, I suppose. Okay, well, let me create a new character. Human. Godfrey. There we go now. He's got a short bow. Hello! Okay. Short bow is big. Okay, so Bram was holding the torch, by the way, so that's going to clatter to the ground. On a 1, it'll go out. Okay, we're good. Yeah, they're still going to defend themselves. But if we weren't here, if we backed away, they would just sit there by the torch. Okay, new initiative? Yes, new initiative. 3 for us, 0 for them. Liena is going to step up to where Bram was, so she'll take point. Roll her spear against this thing. Miss. Junor with the great axe. Hit! 7 damage! Alright, we killed one. Malcor will then try and spear the other one that Liena tried to hit. Miss. And Godfrey will fire an arrow at that one. Miss. Alright, they get to go. They're rolling against Liena. 16. She also bites the bucket, as they say. Fuck. Now we're losing characters like flies. This is not good, man. We need something more clever than this. We should be getting up on the base of the statue and fighting them there. Against Junor. Miss. He's holding out pretty good. But Leanna finally dies as well. Oh, I shouldn't have deleted her. She had stuff on her. That's why I didn't delete Bram. Fuck. Alright, we got, let's see, another human, Oscar. He also has short bow and a crowbar. Okay, new initiative. We got a 3, they got a 3. Tie goes to smaller group, which they still have 5 technically. We've only killed 1. So there's 4. We're going first. And I think we're going to try and scramble up onto the basin of this statue. It says they will defend themselves. So I imagine they will try and get up onto the basin with us. But Malcor, Junor will, you know... I mean, it's probably... That was our whole turn, was getting up. So I think that's it. And then they are going to go over, and they're going to try to get up. Realistically, I suppose, if we just climbed up as our turn, why can't they climb up as their turn? But I also think that... really 4 of them have not been attacked, and they're just going to go for the light. The one that got attacked is going to defend himself and try and go after us. So really, one of them climbs up with us, and the other 4 are just standing around the torch down there. And now we have a new round. D6 for us is a 1, for them a 3. So that guy that climbed up, he is going to swing at Junor. He missed. Okay. Junor is going to counterattack because he's had enough of this bullshit. Nope, he does not. Malcor has a spear, though. Miss. Godfrey and Oscar both have short bows. So they will sit back and fire. Crit. Alright, that one's definitely dead. Godfrey's going to fire at another one. He misses. Depends on if you think that counts as an attack where he's going to defend himself, but I'd say probably not. Okay, so now the process is pretty clear. We're going to fire at 1 with both short bows, and then ready actions to attack him if he approaches the basin to try and climb up. Which honestly should get a bit of an advantage, I think. I don't know if I'd go so far as advantage, but maybe I would. That is a pretty perfect situation that you're looking for. So at this point, mostly we just clear. We auto clear, I would say, but we'll play it out. So we're gonna new round. We fire at 1. We miss, and we hit for 2 damage. So that's at 6 HP. They'll ready their actions. Just, you know, slam him and spear him as he approaches the basin to try and climb up. And that's what he'll do. So I'm going to roll spear with advantage. That is it for 2 more damage. He's at 4. This with advantage is a miss. So now he's up. So it's not necessarily an auto clear. You could kill somebody. We roll. We get a 1. They get a 2. So he's going to attack Junor again. Miss. Junor for some reason is just invincible. Yeah, we'll shoot this thing. Miss. 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 Hit for 3 damage. I wish they wouldn't show me both, because it's like my one-handed hit would have been twice as good. I think he has 1 health, and we have to go to another round. We got a 2, they got a 1. So we go first. Godfrey, miss. Oscar, hit, kill. Okay. Then we wait, you know, we're ready in action. The other 3 are still standing there. Initiative doesn't really matter that much. We fire. Wait, what? I ran out of arrows. Oh, you came in with like 5 arrows or something? Oh, shit. Can I recover any? Now, this is funny because Shadowdark is all about streamlining, making things really simple and easy and fluid, and yet has you track your arrow count. And there was a discussion about that, and nobody likes that. Like, very few people like tracking individual ammunition per shot, and then, like, trying to decide how many you recover afterwards or anything like that. It's not a very popular concept. And I don't blame them. Unless I'm playing, like, a really deep simulationist game like Axe or something, I don't want to track that shit. So, I say go to usage dice. If you care to track it in any way, or just you have unlimited arrows and no one cares. But I do think for a game like this, it is important to track it somewhat. Resource management is kind of important. Because like here, I mean, I ran out of arrows. That's pretty bad. Oscar only has 1 more arrow. But yeah, I wouldn't really ever track. And why would they come into this dungeon with like 4 arrows? So if I was gonna do a usage die here to track it somewhat, then I'd probably put it at like a D4 maybe. They didn't bring that many arrows because they weren't. I mean, they're peasants. They don't have an unlimited supply of arrows. You know, they only have so many. And they're trying to get money to make more arrows. Blah blah blah. So I would set the usage die at D4. And I really wish there was a way to track that, or is it just? But yeah, Shadowdark doesn't have it as an optional rule or anything. So there's just no way to do it. And the thing with, I mean, with Foundry here, it makes it exceedingly simple to track arrows, because every time you click on your short bow, it deducts an arrow. So it's a really simple thing, like a video game here. But at a table, yeah, you use a usage die. But all right, let's pretend, I guess, that we ran out of arrows. So Oscar is going to fire an arrow then at one of the other 2? Are there 2 left? I don't even remember. Let's say there's 2 left. All right, he misses. So now they're over there, and we can't aggro them. Well, we can kind of aggro them. We can throw iron spikes or something, which probably doesn't really do any damage, but it might aggro them. So let's do it that way. And Chunor is going to give his spear to Godfrey. So at least we have 3 melee. And then, ooh, we do have caltrops. Okay, we'll put those down, like, right at the edge of the basin. And then Godfrey will throw iron spikes until this thing aggroes. And then, yeah, essentially we all get an attack with advantage here. The 3 of us. That is a hit for 1 damage. 5 damage, so he's at 6. He only has 2 health left. And that'll be a kill. All right, clean. 1 left. Same strat. 6 damage. All right, this is it. This is it. Dead. All right, we got him. Not without consequence, though. We lost some characters there, man. That's part of the funnel process, like I said. Even solo with, like, perfect knowledge of the module, there's still... You still only have 1 health. Alright, let's say we recover a few arrows each. So we'll go to 3. 3. We do have some other loot. Yeah, we've got their scale armor that we can put on. Sorry, friends, but we need it now. And the spear can go to Oscar. And then, yeah, Godfrey will carry the torch that's still lit. And he'll move rope over, I suppose. Now, I think Leanna had the grappling hook. So let me add that, and we want to make sure we have a grappling hook. Okay. It's all good. Bram, goodbye. Here's our party. And, right, the rest of this room then. The pool is 3 feet deep. Its bottom is painted pitch black and crusted with thousands of crystals forming the stars of a nighttime constellation that is unfamiliar. It is, in fact, the sky as it will appear 20,000 years from now, when the War Wizard's strange benefactors will return. The light shines through the crystal stars from Area 8 below. Each crystal is worth 10 silver pieces and takes 2 minutes to pry out. Prying out crystals causes the water in the pool to drain into Area 8. Air bubbles rise, and a current starts, and after 10 crystals are pried out, the draining is obvious. After 50 crystals are removed, the floor buckles. After 100 are removed, it collapses onto Area 8, sending any characters within the pool crashing down into the room below in a sloshing mess. Takes 2 minutes to pry out, so we can get 5 crystals in the time it takes to tick down our torch once. The thing is, though, I mean, this is a lot of money for us. I actually need to look up a... Let me just look up a Thundercrawl Classics like kind of equipment list to get an general idea of prices. So a longsword costs 10 gold in DCC, which is right along with Shadowdark. So these are correct values for us. Each one is worth 10 silver for us, or 1 gold. So how much time do we want to spend here? It's not even a matter of, we're not going to spend the time that it takes to pry 100 crystals out, especially obvious that, like, the floor is buckling underneath us after 50 of them. So, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that something bad would happen if you keep going. But the real factor here for us is time. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. So that's 5 per torchlight, which means I could reasonably do... I don't know. We have no other lights of any kind, no torches of any kind, so I don't think I can really risk much. I'm going to spend 2 turns getting 10 crystals. And we'll just put these in the gem bag. So these are going to be worth 1 gold each. Except I can't add quantity, so we'll just what are these called? Crystals? Small crystal times 10. Alright. So we got 10 gold, which is enough for us to, you know, live for quite a while. I don't think, so based on the standard living from Axe here, Wretched is 1 gold a month at the lowest level. So really, the 4 of us here could live for, you know, a couple decent months of just without worry. It's not very much money. Alright, fair enough. Especially because technically there's like 8 more peasants with us. So really, we'd all get like a gold out of this. We'd all be happy for a month. And a few of our friends died. Alright, but there's some stairs. So I guess we'll continue on. Now, of course, the question is, like, there's thousands of these crystals here, right? Now, obviously, you can't really pick more than 100. Unless you like, went down and, like, reinforced the pool or something like that. Or reinforced the floor of the pool. You wouldn't really be able to get 1,000 of them or whatever. But, you know, you can get 80 of them without any penalty. But that would take a long time, and I think it's unclear how long this portal is open. The door swings open, the front door, during that 10-minute interval per night. So, fine, but if you just leave the door open. But I think this is more... $50 years. So I think basically it's like, it's this night. And otherwise we have to wait 50 years. So we have this one night to do it. Had we had like 5 torches... Yeah, I mean, we would have gone for, like 80 crystals. So that's 80 gold. I mean, that's quite a nice sum for starters here. But, funnily enough, if you start at level 1 with Shadowdark, you know, you each start with like 35 gold each. So it's not like an insane amount. That's why we're pressing on. We want big treasure. We're willing to die for it. Alright, we go down. Go down the steps to, here. The spiral staircase leads to a long, narrow room with a door in the far wall. There are several ledges holding miniature clay soldiers, and 2 tables with armies of opposing soldiers are laid out around buildings and hills. The war wizard intended for this room to be a planning station for the afterlife conquest. 4 of the clay soldiers are solid silver. They are the generals, clearly the leaders of the 4 armies laid out on the 2 tables. DC 10 search check worth 20 gold pieces each. So basically, if players are inspecting the miniature soldiers, give them this DC 10 check here. We rolled a 1, but we do not realize that 4 of them are made of solid silver. That's weird that that's a search check, and I think that is against the spirit of the game. If the players say they're searching and checking out the soldiers, just give it to them. That's kind of the point of the whole thing, and it's just kind of weird. Like, how are they that oblivious to solid silver? The rest are made of clay. Yeah, so let's just get the treasure. Yeah. Well, we can't really carry this much. See, now we get into the problem. See, we can't carry too much. Let's get rid of the caltrops. I don't think we need this much rope, so we'll dump that. Probably don't need as many iron spikes as we have here. Dump that. Oh, he gave his spear away, so that's gone. I think that's fair. So now, yeah, okay, so let's see here. Treasure name, Silver Soldier, which is worth 20 gold each. Oh my god. There we go. Perfect. But now I have to tick this down to 2. Torch is getting pretty low, man. And we poke our head in this room. The door opens upon a breathtaking scene. An enormous 3-tiered chamber spreads before you. An oversized throne rests upon a raised dais at the far end of the room. Seated on the throne is a clay warlord that resembles the giant statue you saw earlier. A pulsating light emanates from a crystal globe atop the throne. Below the dais, at floor level, 7 statues of clay generals stand motionless. Below them, in a huge pit that runs the length of the room, stands an army of clay soldiers. There are dozens of soldiers arrayed in marching formation, their clay armor and clay spears equipped for war. A giant stillness pervades the room. It is the stillness of death, the silence of a tomb. Then suddenly, the stillness is broken as the clay warlord jerkily raises an arm toward their generals. Then the entire army takes a lurching step forward, shattering the silence with the tramp of doom. This is the Warlord's elite guard, preserved and reanimated for eternity. Characters have no hope of defeating 70 warriors, 7 generals, and Warlord. All share these same stats. Plus 4 attack, 1d8 damage, 12 AC, 9 HP. However, there are several clever ways to win passage. If the clay army is submerged in water by removing crystals to sink the pool in Area 6, all creatures in this room take 1d6 damage from falling debris as the ceiling collapses. Any surviving clay soldiers slowly turn to mud, taking an additional 1 point of damage each round until they dissolve into a puddle. The life force of the clay generals is linked to the skeletons in Area 5. If their skulls are destroyed, the clay generals' heads shatter to shards and dust. The characters may arrive to find the generals already destroyed. Yeah, we do. If the generals are killed, the warriors lack organization and spend a few rounds milling about before moving forward to attack. Okay. So, I guess technically, yeah, because of that glowing light, we see the whole room. And, so these are all dead. We just find, like, collapsed piles of clay in front of the throne. Look like they belong to similar statues. And then the warlord jerkily raises his arm forward. And then you have to make it pretty obvious that the actual soldiers, the army in the pit, are kind of disorganized. They're kind of like confused and they're like bumbling into one another. None of them take a organized step forward, and they definitely don't start climbing out of the pit or anything. So they're like kind of shuffling and bumping into one another a little bit, raising and lowering their weapons maybe, kind of mechanically, stuff like that. Is you want to make it a little obvious because there is a strict time limit here where they spend a few rounds milling about before moving forward to attack. So if the players don't capitalize on that, which they very well may not, then it's kind of, they lost their big advantage. Smart characters may try to assassinate the warlord directly, which quickly ends the threat. That's true. And we do have some arrows, so we could try and just fire some rounds quickly at the warlord. But I could see someone also trying to just shoot this crystal globe instead, which is worth 200 gold pieces as a work of art. A wizard who unlocks its secrets understands that they can use it as a scrying ball. However, once every 1d8 days, an alien countenance appears in the ball to look back at the wizard. These are the extraplanar benefactors of the war wizard who taught him to use this crystal globe to guide their astral projection, and who occasionally use it to look upon the mortal realm. But all right, let's pretend that we just fire a couple shots at this warlord real quick. Godfrey rolls a 13, which is a hit. They all share the same stats, so 13 does a hit, and it's at 5 health now. So it definitely, again, you'd want to indicate as a DM that, like, yes, that does seem to, you know, it kind of like, you know, groans in pain, and I don't know, it's made of clay, right? So you just get like clay dribbling out of the wound. So Oscar then will follow up. He also hits 2 damage. It's got 3 health left. I don't think Malcor and Junor want to like rush in or anything. And the soldiers are still bumbling around. So I guess Godfrey will fire another shot. That is also a hit for 2 damage. And that it puts it at 8. 4, 2, 2. So it has 1 health left. It's like kind of leaning over in pain. Come on, Oscar, you got this. No, we couldn't finish it. All right, I think this is going to be the last round. So if we don't kill it here, the soldiers are going to start all getting up and climbing out of the pit. Come on, Godfrey, you got this. Miss. Oscar, no. Okay, well, that's fucked then. There's really... Yeah, that's not happening. Oh, wait, Malcor can throw his spear. Yes. Technically, I don't know if you could throw it that far, but this is going to be some fucking 300 King Leonidas shit. Nope. Shame. Wait a minute. Didn't we have a hand axe? Someone had a hand axe. Someone had a fucking hand axe. Bram had it. We picked it up. I guess I didn't equip it. So, give it to Junor. He's going to throw the hand axe. His forefathers intended. This is all on the line. His hand axe is going to be insane. Now, this is -1, by the way. I'm aware. -1. Oh, he got it. 3 damage right in its head. And all the soldiers just immediately freeze exactly in the position they were in. Incredible! Incredible! Now, if you didn't smash the skulls or didn't go into that room at all or anything, then you would not have 3 rounds of just free attacks. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I think there's plenty of situations here where the players are just like, well, fuck that, and they close the door and leave, and that's the end of the adventure. So I think probably plenty of runs of this place, and right there as the players are like, okay, I think we're done here. And maybe they keep prying, you know, maybe they get 50 or so crystals out, and you get 50 gold out of that, and it's like, okay, well, there's your level 0. But it's like, yeah, there aren't many other options at that point for trying to kill the warlord. And then, like, if you didn't destroy the skulls, the soldiers just immediately start climbing up out of the pit towards you. It's like, what are you really gonna do here? You're not gonna do doorway strats through fucking 70 warriors, 7 generals, and the warlord. So yeah, I think a lot of it ends there. And I think overall this is, well, it's a very quick funnel. It's an extremely short funnel. And I don't think it's as lethal in a lot of ways, because like room number 2, I mean, realistically is probably just going to get 1 character, right? I mean, unless everyone like sort of moves in as a big group and then they throw and it gets like 4 characters, but I think that's unlikely. Room number 3 can probably... It might get more than one, but again, probably one person's gonna like back out and get targeted or try and leave through another, I don't know. The snake could get several. Yeah, that is very possible. It has 20 health. But room 5 has no danger in it. Room 6 technically doesn't have any danger in it, but most players are going to get into a fight with those things. And that is where I lost the most, so that's probably where... And I lost the most even by using doorway strats. If you just get into a big brawl here, that could be a fucking slaughter. 7 is no danger, and then 8, assuming you just back out and leave. That's kind of it. Yeah, so I don't think it's as lethal as some other funnels. Like, Trial of the Slime Lord seemed a lot more lethal. And it actually says here, in playtest groups of 15 PCs, 7 or 8 typically survive. The author has playtested this adventure with groups of up to 28 PCs and experienced only 1 complete TPK. Which, I'd love to hear that story. Several sessions with only a handful of survivors. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the number that you kind of set going in. And depending on how you approach this room and stuff, I mean, I guess it's possible. And if you get really greedy at 6, I suppose it could collapse. The group is really just like, yeah, let's keep going, man. This is awesome. We're getting all these crystals. It's amazing. But you get so many warnings here. The draining of the pool. And then at 50, the floor buckles. If that doesn't fucking send warning signals to you, then I don't know what does. But players aren't going to be aware of what number exactly it collapses. But 1d6 damage and then reflex save for half. Most characters are going to just die no matter what. If they're in the pool when it falls, they're dead. In our case, that's how it would work. And DCC is not super different. Most characters have like 1 health or 2 health. So if you're going to get a TPK, it's probably from something like that. Or some group that's just like, yeah, we can fight this. And when they just start fighting the soldier, I don't know. Seems wild. Yeah, but not too shabby. So then it's like, okay, I guess we'd take the crystal globe. And that's the big treasure. There is the treasure vault, though. It's a DC 14 search check on the southern wall. So in our case, players would have to specifically say that they're like searching the walls for anything. And then I would probably just tell them they find the secret door. So if you're going to get to if you complete this room, yeah, you're probably going to search the area. In that case, in that game, you'd roll a search check. We'd even make that search check, so it's double fine. So we'd get the 200 crystal or globe. And then the treasure vault. At the end of the long hallway is a Spartanly appointed room containing simple wooden shelves, a camp chair, and a sleeping pallet. The wooden shelves hold a bronze rod, a copper brazier, fine weapons and armor, and a brass-bound tome. In the center of the floor is a large pentacle with a perfect crystal circle at its center. Inside the circle is a stone table on which rests a wrinkled ancient body whose countenance matches the war wizard's. At the head of the table is a concave depression. So inside we find bronze rod of rulership engraved with a half of a demon's face. It's worth 150 gold, but read on. Copper braziers worth 10 gold. Assortment of weapons include a longsword, longbow, 40 arrows with quiver, a mace, a spear, a battle axe, a dagger, and a hand axe. Ooh, that's all pretty good. There's also a suit of scale mail. So another suit of scale mail. Tome is written in a language so ancient it is indecipherable to modern creatures. A wizard who studies it may discover a spell the judge is choosing. If you place the crystal ball in the depression on the table, You see an endless field of bright stars on a faint gray background. A ghostly image of the war wizard drifts in the star-strewn ether, perfectly still. Then a harsh, goat-like face fills the full sphere, staring intently at you. I waited a long time for someone to take the warlord's place, says the strange goat man in a deep voice. His astral voyage was cut short before he could rekindle the spark of his mortal coil. I am still in need of an ally on your world. Fill this copper brazier with wood from a dryad's tree and ignite it with the spark of a living fire. The blaze will reveal the location of the other half of the rulership rod. Find that for me, and you shall be rewarded. Then the globe dims to mere crystal. They say a dryad has been seen in the forests east of here. And thus continues your campaign with now level 1 characters. It's a nice little touch at the end there. I think that's solid. Okay, but we have to carry this shit, and we don't have much slots left. If we're not going to level up until we get out of this place, then we're pretty limited here. I think the scale armor is kind of too good to pass up, but not all of our characters need scale armor. It's a little too heavy for everybody. Usually, you know, you'd like, the point of the funnel is kind of to determine the level 1 character, the class that you become, based on, like, the peasant's actions and decisions and stuff. Not always, it's not always that clear cut, but that is, like, the nice idea of it. The problem is, you know, these are all just, like, faceless, nameless people to me. So I have no idea what anyone's going to become. But I think, I don't know, the scale armor, though, is worth, like, 60 gold each. Because it's, like, encrusted with gems. So I don't know if I want to ditch anything. If we're going to ditch stuff, I guess it should be, like, the iron spikes. Maybe a flask of oil or two. Crowbar is kind of useful, though. But maybe the spears. The spears for the people that use arrows. So technically, we fill back up full on arrows. Iron spikes, get rid of that. The rope, get rid of that. Because someone's got to take this big globe, which probably is like 2 slots, technically. So longsword, longbow, 40 arrows, mace, spear, battle axe, dagger, hand axe. Well, I mean, Junor will swap out his great axe and the hand axe for normal ones. Damn it, didn't do that properly. There you go. No, you still didn't. What the fuck? I deleted it. No, it doesn't have that trait anymore. What is wrong with you? Well, maybe I have to unequip it. Nope. Okay, well then fine. I'll make it a fucking +1. If that's the way you want it. Now it's +1. Okay, I think you have to deactivate it. No, it's just so stupid. I'm just gonna delete it. We're just gonna delete it. We'll get a normal one. Thought I could do this easy, but you didn't want to make it easy. Okay. And then a longsword. I guess Malcor is gonna swap out his spear for a longsword. This is assuming we get classes that can use it, but this might influence the class you pick. Like, well, I want to keep using this longsword. I want to keep using this great axe. Stuff like that. And then let's have Oscar grab the longbow. Okay. And we fill up on arrows. Right, so the crystal orb, I guess let's add that as a treasure. Crystal globe. 200 gold pieces. Well, we want the bronze rod of rulership. That's worth 150. Half of bronze rod. 150 gold. There's a lot of money we got, man. Now, of course, the tricky part is always selling it. Our rural village is not going to be buying this crystal globe for 200 gold. We got to make it to a big city, which is a whole other ball game. Copper brazier is worth 10. And let's pretend that we didn't even see this last part. We didn't put the globe in the depression, because I imagine plenty of people will not. So we'll just add the copper brazier for 10. All right. And then we're going to leave back the way we came, just as our torch dies out. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Okay, one torch made it through. Barely. Okay, so we get out. Let's level up. So everyone is now going to become level 1. So let's start with Junor. We have level 1. It's not going to let me roll his stats, but that's fine. He doesn't get the gold. He could become a sea wolf. Honestly, that's not a bad choice, I guess. He gets to use his great axe, his hand axe. He gets chainmail. Yeah, he'll be a fucking sea wolf. Done. Now he gets to roll HP. Are we doing max HP? Is that my house rule? Is that a part of Shadowdark Plus? Is you just get max HP? I think a lot of people do a minimum. I think Axe, right, had the minimum of 4 across the board. I've seen other people say that you get the minimum of the average of the roll at level 1. So if it's a D4, you get 3 minimum. If it's a D6, you get 4, no, 5 minimum. No, 4 minimum. And if it's a D8, you get 5 minimum. So in that case, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, if you wanted to make it even simpler, you could just say 4 minimum across the board, which helps the D4 people a little bit. And it's not quite as good for the fighters and stuff, but it's a pretty simple blanket rule. But yeah, I think a minimum is probably... I think it's better than no minimum, while not being quite as cheesy as full health. So, I don't know, I guess I'm okay with it. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with that. So this is an acceptable roll. And then he does get a talent. +2 strength, con, or melee and ranged attacks. Well, as usual, you probably want strength, even though we haven't rolled stats yet. Okay. Now. Yeah, the whole 3d6, 4d6, 5d, you know, that whole debacle of what to do. There are definitely very strong defenders of 3d6 down the line. You know, but that's the only way to go. That's how you do it. Now, people are talking about there's a like an actual play called 3d6 down the line, and they did a very big campaign of the Halls of Arden Vol. I don't even know how many videos they're up to, but it's a lot. I think that maybe they finished. I'm not sure. I haven't watched any of it. I'm just familiar with it. And it's pretty well known in like in the OSR community because it's, you know, they're doing the whole of Arden Vol, which is massive. Yeah, and so their house rule for ability scores is 3d6 down the line twice. And then you get to pick one of those two sets for your character. And then the one you don't pick becomes like your secondary character, like your backup character. I think that's a little better, at least, slightly better. But their podcast is called 3d6 Down the Line, so I don't expect anything differently. Proponents of the system say that you're not creating a character with that rule. When you roll like 46 down the line and you assign it and stuff, you're creating a character that you want to play. When you do just 3d6 down the line, you are discovering a character. You don't know when you start rolling those dice what sort of character you're going to end up with and what, you know, how you're going to embrace them. But over time, they will become your character. And they always will mention about how some of their, you know, most beloved characters had really just middling stats and they never expected them to be, you know, memorable or good or survive. And it's that sense of discovery of your character that really captures the essence of old school D&D. Yeah. I mean, let's just do that. I'm not going to necessarily go ahead with this, but let's just, as a test, let's roll for Junor's stats. We know that he wants to be a Seawolf. That is in his blood and bones, right? He's got his great axe. He's destined to just be in there and clobbering things with his axe. So let's roll his strength now. 8. So technically with the +2, he'd be at 10 strength. Okay. Dex, 5. Abysmal. Con, 5. This is not a character that is meant for this world in any way. Int, 6. Wiz, 11. And, alright, so technically, according to Shadowdark, this is not valid. According to the really hardcore proponents, though, this is a perfectly valid and fine character, and you should discover how to play him and embrace him. Yeah, enjoy that. Alright, if we reroll it then according to Shadowdark, strength of 8 again. Dex of 12, that's better. Con of 11, Int of 8, Wiz of 9, and Charisma of 10. Again, a non-valid character. Now, if the whole point was to just embrace 3d6 down the line and accept it as it goes, then why would there be a rule in there that if you don't get a 14 anywhere, you can re-roll? What would be the point of that rule exactly? You don't need a 14. You should just enjoy your 8 stat character across the line. Okay, again, strength 15. All right, now you're talking. Dex 17. Holy shit. Con 13. Yes. Int 9. Wiz 10. Charisma 11. This is a valid character and pretty good for a frontline fighter. You have 17 strength, 17 dex, 13 con to start. And technically I followed all the rules of Shadowdark character generation. 3d6 down the line, so on and so forth. So that's valid. And it just so happened that he got really good stuff for being a frontline fighter. Everything's happy. Or you could just skip a step here and just roll slightly differently to ensure that it's just better. And it just goes easier. So I don't know. Again, I think 46 down the line is better. But really, I would almost say 3d6 down the line and just like you can swap to. Even that bit of change is pretty big. Just being allowed to swap 2 numbers is pretty big. You don't even have to assign all 6. If you could just swap 2, I think that would make a lot of people happy. But if you want to do 3d6 and then assign to whichever stats you want, that's really starting to veer away from the discovery aspect that people say is so important. But if the fact of the matter is that you're discovering your character and it has nothing to do with shitty stats or good stats, then why not just do 5d6, drop lowest 2, and go down the line? You're still discovering your character. You know, it's just you're not going to be dog shit. And then if the whole point is just like stats don't really matter that much, then I don't know, just have 10 in every stat. Like, who cares? Remove stats. Stats don't matter. And there are plenty of games that remove stats entirely and are more just like narrative based, and you have just like narrative traits about your character and stuff, and you don't actually have stats as numbers. I don't know. There's so many different approaches here. I don't have a single answer of. It's all going to depend on the person. It's all going to depend on the DM, and all depend on the players and how they feel about the whole concept. So there's no one size fits all. Do whatever the hell you want. But as for me, I still like Axe. I just like Axe. I like Axe. I just don't want to play Axe, but I like it. So we'll do this the Axe way. So for strength, 5d6, drop lowest 2. Okay, so that's going to be a 12 with the plus 2, that's a 14. So yeah, 3d6 down the line actually got us a better score than what I just did, but you know, it's more reliable this way. 4d6 for Dex, drop low, gets us 14 as well. Con, not so high, 11 on Con, okay. And then 3d6 for the rest. 11, 10, 8. Not super charismatic or wise or anything, but there you go. There's your stats. And he's got 8 HP. Pretty good. Now, what is the benefit of Seawolf compared to Fighter? Because you might be curious. Seawolf has access to less armor and weapons. They don't get weapon mastery, which is pretty big. And they don't get grit. So they can't, they don't get advantage on strength or dex checks. So that's quite a bit. Weapon mastery is pretty big because that's a scaling damage and attack increase as you level. So what does Seawolves get to compensate? Well, they get the old gods. So every day after completing a rest, you get one of these effects for the rest of the day. Odin gives you 1d4 health back every time you kill something. Freya gives you a luck token right away if you don't have one. And each time you use a luck token, you get to add a d6 to your roll. Loki, you have advantage on checks to lie, sneak, and hide. Very bold choice to include Loki here as one of the old gods and not Thor. So that's interesting. Seafarer, they have advantage on checks related to navigating, crewing boats, and shield wall. If you wield a shield, you can use your action to make your AC become 20. It says during this time. I assume that's until the start of your next turn. Shield wall is the big plus there, I think, because it's pretty nuts, but you have to have a shield. So if you're the two-handed Viking kind of style, that's pointless and you're never going to use it. And then the old god thing, it's like you have to pick this at the start of the day for the whole day. And it's like, unless you're like the thief of the group or something, Loki is never going to get picked when you're going into dungeons. I can't imagine. I mean, Freya is pretty good. It's depending on if you're playing on like pulp mode or not. You know, I don't know. It's pretty good though. Depends on the DM a little bit if you're not playing solo. If your DM just doesn't ever hand out luck tokens, it's basically useless. You get 1 luck token per day. And then Odin is pretty good for frontliners. It's not too shabby, but you have to be the one to kill it, and it's 1d4, so it's hard to say. Yeah, by and large, fighter is just a lot better, especially if you're two-handed or something like that. So maybe we change, because I wanted to... Yeah, that didn't really work, did it? That didn't really work, and I don't think I can just drag and drop fighter on here and it'll apply all the talents. So I think we have to do it manually. Fuck. Alright, let's do it manually. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. We'll keep the +2 strength, I guess. But yeah, class abilities. What? What? Class abilities doesn't have any of the core classes. What the hell? That's weird. Not talents. No, that... Oh, I guess it is talents. Okay. So, we're trying to do our modified fighter now. So we don't get hauler and we don't get grit. We do get weapon mastery, however, so that should apply. And wherever that is exactly. Weapon mastery. Choose weapon type. We're gonna go with great axe. Boom. Yeah, I mean, of course, that doesn't actually apply to my great axe. That would be a little too easy, wouldn't it? But what if I add a new great axe? Then you'll be sorry. Nope, didn't do it. Okay. Well, then I either have to... God. You really make me do this stuff, huh? Why doesn't that connect? What's the point of weapon mastery if it doesn't actually do anything? I mean, every time I roll, I can add talent bonus, I suppose, but that doesn't... That's not great. We don't want to do that. So I think modifying the great axe to be a magic item that has +1 weapon attack bonus and weapon mastery. Just do that. Apply. It's never gonna do it. It's never gonna adjust this. It's just not a perfect system. Yeah, I mean, this is why people complain about Foundry. It's just like, unless things work perfectly, it's just so much more difficult and tedious compared to just using like a PDF or pencil and paper or a notepad or anything, you know? A lot of groups, I think, get excited. They sit down with Foundry, but then there's a lot of the DM just like futzing with stuff because things don't work exactly as it should, and it kind of slows down the game, bogs down the game, and I can understand all that. So, yeah, I don't know how you're meant to make this work, but clearly that didn't work. So I guess we'll just go with my original plan. Weapon attack bonus, weapon damage bonus. Done. Done and done. Alright, there's Junor. So that's what, well, yeah, weapon mastery. But then we also wanted to add deadly strikes. So this would be a class ability. Deadly strikes. I guess it's not really an ability. It is a talent, isn't it? Hold on. Talent. Because it's not something you roll. It's always on. Deadly strikes. Level 1. No. Talent class? Class? Yeah. Yeah, class. Yeah. Effect. Oh, critical success threshold? 19? Do you think that just does it? Do we think that is just in and locked in and we got it? Hard to know until I roll enough to get crits. Let's see, roll advantage. Just want to see if I get a 19, if it will count. That was an 18. Nope. Eventually this will work. I have to, it's a 5% chance of me getting a 19 on the roll. Probably not ever going to work. There's a 19, not a crit. Didn't automatically apply. No, of course, I mean, this stuff never will automatically apply, and I don't know. That seems exactly the correct effect, right? Unless I'm supposed to not check mark it. I keep check marking him, but maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. Great, so now I have to fucking roll. I actually got a 19. Now it's... Fuck. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong. I keep check marking when it's not. Well, there I rolled a 20. That doesn't count. I rolled a 20 again. That didn't count. There it is. Yes. All right. It worked. That was what I was doing wrong then. I was check marking. I was check marking it too much. Oh, let's see. It's a live and learn. Now I know. All right. Anyways. So Deadly Strikes implemented. Now it also has a secondary effect that I can't really implement. And that adds +2 on trauma rolls. For trauma tables. And there's no way I'm going to be able to implement trauma tables into Foundry here. So that's just going to have to be on our own. And I also have to like rewrite all the trauma tables from Tales of Argosa. But I'm sure there's people that have done critical hit tables and stuff for Shadowdark. I just think trauma table looked pretty cool from that other game. And then there's the fighting style, which I can't... Oh, I can't really adapt either. But I can sort of... I mean, I guess I can. So the way I had it in my little notepad here that I wrote up is basically it's there's 8 choices. And I was going to have it as not a roll at level 1 or anything. I was going to just have you pick, because I like choice. And I don't like things being left to random. So, you just get to pick one of these at level 1, and then another at 2, 4, 6, and 8. The style you pick at level 1 is your default style, and you can swap to any others you have once per encounter, until the end of encounter, or until you swap back to default. And that's it. That's the whole gist of it. You probably can change your default style if someone really wanted to do so. If they changed how they felt about their character or something like that, I mean, sure. And yeah, they're pretty simple. As you can see, not a whole lot of text here for each one, because I wanted to keep it fairly basic. So sword and shield, your AC from shields is increased by 1. And remember, we were bumping AC down from shields to 1. So this bumps it back up to 2 if you have that. Two-handed, you get to roll damage twice, take the higher result. Dual wield, get advantage on next attack roll after missing. I went kind of back and forth on the dual wielding of what I want. The whole point of Shadowdark is you never get extra attacks. That's like a core part of the design philosophy, is to never bog down combat with any character getting extra attacks or extra actions. So I didn't really want to give an extra offhand attack or anything. And there's actually no rules at all for dual wielding in Shadowdark, but plenty of people have come up with their own house rules. The most common is basically like you bump up the damage die of the weapons. If you're wielding two of the same weapon, you can bump up the damage die by 1. So if you're wielding like 2 short swords, it becomes a D8 instead of D6s. And I think that's pretty good. That's probably what I would go with if anyone ever wanted to dual wield. But if you have the fighter style of dual wielding, you get advantage on your next attack roll if you miss. And I don't know. I think that's pretty good. I think it's kind of nice. I don't know. That's when dual wielding, obviously. There would have to be more text than I put in here, but yeah, obviously. Ranged, if you're ever struck by a ranged attack, you may immediately return fire. Yeah, I don't know. It's not like overpowered or anything. You do actually have to get hit with a ranged attack for it to do anything. But if you want to be a ranged fighter, you'd rather have that feature than not have it, right? Opportunist, when you reduce a foe to 0 hit points with a melee or thrown attack, you may immediately make another melee or thrown attack once per round. So sort of the cleave essence that's very common with fighters. Technically, that is an extra attack. And so, yeah, I mean, the designers would frown upon this, but it's a very rare thing, and you have to kill an enemy with it. So, you know, unarmed attacks deal 1d6 damage, and on a natural 19, you get a grab or disarm. Pretty much stole that completely from Tales of Argosa. Brutal, you get +2 to the trauma roll on a natural 19, or a crit for the fighter because they have deadly strikes. And then Indomitable, once per round, you reduce damage you take from a single source by 1d6. So if you really want to just be tanky. But remember, you can only have one default style. So you probably have like Sword and Shield as your default. And then you can do Indomitable for like once a combat, you know. Well, no, because you can switch to Indomitable at any point, but then you lose the AC bonus from Sword and Shield. So it's not necessarily designed for the sword and board tank fighter. It's really good for any character. I don't know, I felt it was fair enough. I don't know. Obviously, yeah, I think it makes the fighter more powerful compared to having grit, but it also makes fighters a lot more interesting. So that's the new house rule for Shadowdark Plus by Mang. So we're going to pick one of these, and obviously we're going to pick two-handed. So I don't know if there's a way to implement advantage on damage rolls or anything like that. I don't know if that's going to be a magic effect or not. There's damage multiplier, damage die, extra damage die improvement, damage multiplier. I mean, maybe one of these is technically what I'm looking for, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I don't think so. So I think this is just going to be something you probably have to do manually. Yeah, I'm not going to futz with it. So, but we're going to create item. This is going to be another talent. We'll call it fighting style two-handed. And this is class. The effects. Yeah, it's like the same list of effects. So I'd have to come up with a new one. Roll damage twice. Roll damage twice and take the higher result.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's fine. It's not perfect, but I don't know how to edit any of this shit really, so I'm not gonna futz with it. We know, you know, just pretend this is written on your paper. You know, you do that manually. Okay, now Junor is done. That is our new and improved level 1 fighter. Okay, that took a while. Partly because of fucking Foundry. Okay, next Malcor. I guess let's just see. Right, so for some reason it removed all the base classes? No, they're still in there. Okay, never mind. Let's see. Rosgo Die, is that what I want to make him? I don't think we actually want a random class here. Malcor. He grabbed the longsword, so he probably wants to be a longsword dude. Let's go with a... We'll go with the Knight of St. Idris. I think it's pretty good. Now, he rolled a 3. The minimum for a d6 is 4, so he gets to reroll that until he gets a 4 at least. Which could be a while. There it is, 5. And his talent, +1 to melee, +1 to range. He'll take melee. Level up, done. Now, stats. He's going to want to be pretty similar, I imagine. Eventually, he gets spells. Very exciting spells. That's Charisma at level 3. That might be a while. So let's put 5d6 into strength. Shit-ass roll. 10. You got a 10. Bumps up to at least 13. Again, if we were basing this on axe rules, which I am. Then let's do... Dex is just too fucking important, man. 46 Dex. There you go. There you go. 17 Dex. Maybe I should have gone range, but at least that's AC. And then Con also. Very important. He got a 12. I know I didn't put anything to Charisma. I'm just hoping for the best. 3d6, 3d6, 3d6. Yeah, it didn't work out. But who knows? He may never make it to level 3. It's a long ways off. 12 and 8. Okay. Not very bright, but he can swing that sword with the best of them. He's got 13 AC. He should have 6 HP now. It's +1 con. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. And... Are we counting Dex just towards AC? I mean, if this were chainmail, it would count your Dex, right? So at a certain point, we're not counting Dex towards your AC. But that's not evident here at all. Does Axe count? Axe, you always get your Dex? I think so. I mean, it doesn't specify anything there, so maybe you always count your Dex, which means that a dexterous fighter wearing plate mail can get to pretty ludicrous numbers of AC. But I mean, the Sea Wolf, you can just set your AC at 20, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, your bonus or penalty is applied to your armor class value, so I'm pretty sure that's what's meant to happen. I don't know if I want to make that change, but also... I guess. I think maybe I do. Maybe I do. It seems kind of wild. So 16 AC for Malcor. And, well, we have to determine if we can wear scale armor, because, well, yeah, no, fighter definitely can, and the Knight of St. Idris, pretty sure, yeah, all armor. Okay, so they're fine, and they've got some hefty AC now. Wait till Malcor gets a shield. He'll be pretty juicy at 17. It's hard for level 1 enemies to hit him. Because ordinarily, I mean, a level 1 character would not ever have a 17 AC, I don't think. Let's see. Well, let's say you're a fighter. Let's say you happen to get an 18 dexterity to start, or you kind of, you know, use your talents to get into it. And you wear leather armor, because you can have that at level 1. So that's +4, so that's 15 plus a shield. It is quite possible for a fighter to have 17 AC at level 1. Unlikely, but definitely possible. And then, you know, say you get a little bit of change, or you do a level 0 gauntlet, and you come out with some money and you buy chainmail right away, then you're looking at 19 AC. So, yeah, definitely possible for a level 1 character to have 19 AC. That is within the bounds of the system, so I don't think we're breaking anything here. But the thing that I forgot is that... Oh yeah, I gotta remember this demonic possession. 3 times per day. I wish that was under abilities so I could see it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Problem solved. Excellent. I'm actually supposed to pick my talent, because I'm a human. We made that change. So, I wish there was a way to see that there, but there's not. We'd have to go to class talents, Knight of St. Idris. Okay, so there's demonic possession. I'm gonna have to actually bring this up. +1 to melee range, +2 to one of your stats, +2 to charisma or spellcasting checks, and then your choice. So the demonic possession bonus, I'm not exactly clear what that is. Would I pick +1 to melee, or would I pick like +2 strength? I think we'd probably go for +2 strength if I had the choice. So let's nix that. Okay. Yeah, done. Now, so was that broken? No. No, I don't think that was broken. As in, like, is it obscene to be able to pick your talent? I didn't really look at what the demonic possession bonus is. I guess we could take a quick gander at that. As I waste more time here. Your demonic possession bonus increases by 1 point. Okay, so 3 times per day, you gain a +2 bonus to your damage rolls that last 3 rounds. No, I think being able to pick that at level 1, if that's what you want, if that's the bonus you want, compared to always having +1 to attacks with melee weapons, or you know, something like that, or +2 to con, I don't think that's breaking anything. And I do think that I nerfed humans by doing so, but that was my intention. And apparently, this whole thing of the humans having the best trait is a deliberate choice on the designer's part to encourage mostly humans in the setting, which kind of blows my mind, because I don't think you need to heavily incentivize people to pick humans in order for humans to be the most popular. In my experience, people just tend to pick humans because they don't want to pick weird stuff. But maybe that's just like people I've DM'd for and stuff. But I would, yeah, more encourage just like a greater variety. The player characters are meant to be special and unique. Well, I guess in the OSR, maybe not. But I don't know. I feel like it's a reasonable debuff to that trait. Because Junor didn't get to pick. He still got, you know, +2 to strength. So he got, like, the same exact thing. And then he gets to benefit from 2 extra HP. From Stout. And he gets to roll hit point gains with advantage. Which is pretty nice for a frontliner. So yeah, I mean, it might be too big of a nerf to humans, but I don't know. I think it puts them kind of in line and allows them a bit more flexibility if they really want to pick a cool talent. That's it for Malcor. He's done. He is very done. So next on to Godfrey. He was using a short bow, so we could make him kind of a thief or something like that. But we are going to want one spellcaster. So, I don't know. I guess we could make him the spellcaster. Or do we want to make him a priest? Or a witch? I mean, I do have the kind of the expanded deity system that I kind of wanted to test, so maybe Malcor should have been a priest instead of a Knight of St. Idris. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The longbow is the tricky thing, because practically no characters can use a longbow. The fighter can use it. Yep. The priest cannot use it. The thief cannot use it, and the wizard definitely can't use it. Among other classes, third-party stuff or whatever, I'm not entirely sure. Like, the seer can't use it. The witch can't use it. The ranger can definitely use it. But the ranger's kind of shit. The ranger's just not very exciting. I feel like I want to redo the ranger or something. There's an archer class from the player companion. Lets you do called shots at a -2 penalty before rolling. Hitting a target below the waist prevents movement for 2 rounds. Hitting an arm will cause them to drop whatever they're carrying. Hitting the head deals an extra 2 points of damage. You get draw, +1 to attack and damage with longbow or shortbow. And your first 2 bundles of arrows don't consume gear slots. And you can take cover. Disadvantage on range attacks or spellcasting checks, targeting with only 25% cover instead of the normally required 50%. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to be a bowman that does bow things, obviously, yeah, you could just pick a fighter and that's it. And I would say, especially with my fighting style stuff and deadly strikes, like, fighter's probably what you want to do. And that's the criticism I've seen for this whole document, is like a lot of this stuff could just be kind of rolled up into the basic classes and stuff. But I mean, there's some stuff in here like Beastmaster. I don't know. Anyways, I have no idea. I have no idea what I want to do with. We definitely want spellcasters because always we need spellcasters. So I guess make him a. We're gonna have to ditch the longbow no matter what. We're not gonna have a second fighter. We'll have to give the longbow to I don't know, Malcor maybe, if you can use it. No, you can only use crossbows. Fuck. Then it has to go to Junor, who might use it someday. So I guess let's make Godfrey a priest, because it sounds like kind of a priestly name. We'll roll that. D6, he got a 6. His talent, +1 on spellcasting checks. Technically, he gets to pick his priestly talent. So he could take advantage on casting 1 spell, which is the big cheesy thing to do. Take an advantage on Cure Light Wounds. Do I want that? I mean, it's really quite good, I suppose. But, you know, all of this is kind of useful. +1 to melee or ranged. +2 to strength could be really good. I mean, but I don't think we want another frontliner, so we want a ranged character. And if we want him to be better at range, then +1 to ranged attacks is a lot better than advantage on Cure Light Wounds when we're not casting Cure Light Wounds. You know? So yeah, I'm actually going to forego it. I'm going to forego it. And I have to keep rolling until we get, there it is, +1 ranged attacks. Boom. Hopefully he gets a good dex. Spells. Do we want to go to the expanded spell list, I suppose? The novice magic. We didn't really look at this for priest spells, but there's a lot of choices here. So, this video is running very long as it is. I'm tempted to not bother, but I like more spell options and fun stuff. So I guess let's just take the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 17. So D34. 2D34. Roll 2D34. Alright, we got 7 and 31. 3, 6, 7. Detect evil. Shit. 32. And storage. We got detect evil and storage. Wow. This is what I get for rolling random on this list. Yep, detect evil certainly detects evil. Pretty useless in a solo game like this where I'm doing dungeons. And storage creates a magical storage chest. That just, you can put stuff in and bring it back later, and you can store stuff in it. Yeah, no oxygen's pumped into it, so any living creature could suffocate if left in the chest for too long. So yeah, there is a little potential for shenanigans there. But by and large, I picked some really useless spells here. Let's reroll Detect Evil, because I don't have any interest. Alright, so we'll take storage and calm animals. That could be useful. Storage. I'm not even gonna write it up just yet. I just want to put it in. And calm animals. Spell. Create. Storage. Calm animals. Done. So he's gonna have to ditch the short bow. That's no longer a viable option for him. But he can grab that mace that's here and the dagger. There's no crossbow, so that's one of the things we're gonna have to buy. For now, he's got a mace and a dagger. But he can wear all armor, so that's good. I'll put this in my storage chest. A dagger and mace. And we have to roll stats. Let's go 5d6 on dex. We're going to go wild with our priest. This is hog wild. Boom! Look at that. It's not super high. It's 14, but still. All right, 14. 3d6 on wisdom, or 4d6 on wisdom is 13. I will take it. And then let's do con. Everybody loves con. Con! Only a 10. 3d6 on strength. 11. And int, 11. And charisma, 12. Okay. Whoops, not 1. Okay. That's fine. So he's got +3 on throwing his dagger. So, yeah, if we get that crossbow, +3 is not too bad. Not amazing. And he doesn't have very good spells, so he also gets to turn undead. And we haven't picked a deity yet, so there might be some boons for that. If we can pick a deity, maybe there's a deity that gives him access to the longbow. Maybe there's like a nature deity. You can't stop me. I can come up with any deity I want. We'll pick that next time. Because I'm trying to just wrap this up. Oscar, then. Do we want to make him a wizard? Yeah, we want to make him a wizard. We love magic. We love magic, and we never get tired of magic. Or should I make him a witch or something? Witch is kind of just a worse wizard. But it's something different, so we'll go with witch. And it's charisma based. So we have a face. So he gets a minimum of 3 on his roll, so there you go. He does get to pick a talent. He can teleport to his familiar. He can learn a witch spell. Spellcasting advantage. Well. Or +2 to charisma. Let's see. Yeah, just give me spellcasting advantage on any spell. I know. I think that's what we're going to take. That's pretty big. So it's more about what spells we pick. Alright, so Eye Bite, I believe, is attack. One creature you target takes 1d4 damage. Can't see you until the end of its next turn. Alright. So we want basic attack. That's pretty much what we're looking at. And we do usually like to kill stuff. So I don't see anything else doing damage. Although Charm Person with advantage is pretty obscene if we're going to be doing shenanigans like outside of dungeons. 1d8 days, anything 2 or less. Do I want advantage on that? I guess it's pretty powerful, to be honest, if we're going to do like a freeform campaign here. Alright, we'll go with Charm. And then I'll also pick Eye Bite, so we have an attack. And then for a third one, I don't know. I mean, Hypnotize would just like... Can't take actions, moves in a random direction on its turn. And there's no save unless we break the creature's line of sight. Or the target is level 9+. It gets a whiz check at the start of its turn. 9+. But this doesn't make any sense because it says one creature level 3 or less you can see. So, but it's still pretty good for quite a while early on. Just shut down one enemy. Alright, I'm gonna take Hypnotize. I think that's pretty solid. Not all selections have been made. Oh, yeah. Spellcasting advantage. Just give me spellcasting advantage. And my spell will be Charm Person. Level up. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I don't have any house rules or anything custom to add here. So we're good. Except we cannot wear scale armor anymore. Helmets I'd probably allow anybody to have. Because, like, what do you need proficiency to put on a fucking helmet for? Yes, that's all correct. Well, we can't have the longbow either. And maybe Godfrey will get it. We'll have to come up with a deity selection next time. But for now, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.